To our panel now, Donald Trump supporter Matt Schlapp, Trump Republican Liz Mayer, she's now working for a super PAC that's supporting the Libertarian ticket, and Vice President at the Center for American Progress, Michelle Jawando, she supports Hillary Clinton. Michelle, if I could begin with you, that's a pretty remarkable acknowledgement from the sitting Vice President of the United States about the Democratic candidate for president.
Well, I think there are a few things that are really important. If you think about the fact that Donald Trump is the least favorable numbers that we've seen in history
the numbers,
for
to
a
be
candidate.
Fair, aren't far apart on
well, I think that there are a few key demographics that are important to point out. So, for example, for women, we're plus 16. For African American, plus 88. That doesn't happen unless she is connecting on so many different levels in those particular communities.
Matt, I imagine you have a different point of view.
Wow. Hillary Clinton's been doing this for 25 years. Her negatives are deep set over the course of scandal after scandal after scandal. Donald Trump, even people who support Donald Trump, don't like everything about Donald Trump. And what you really
his
see,
trustworthiness numbers are not improving over time.
Well, what you're really seeing is that people, this is what's strange about this election, people who will tell a pollster that they find a candidate unfavorable, they're going to vote for one of these candidates.
Right.
And the fact is this, 75% of Americans, Democrats too, believe that this country's on the wrong track. That is the #1 best poll number for Donald Trump because he is the outside candidate for change, and she represents status quo in Washington, D.C.
All right, folks, stick around. We're going to have much more time with the panel. Point plan, very clear on no path to legal status for immigrants. You have Donald Trump on his plane this morning saying, well, we're going to work that out later.
Well, I think if you look at his words clearly from his speech, what he says is everyone has to go home. Well, and what he says every time he talks about building the wall is the wall will have a big door.
This morning, he just said we're going to decide this at a later date. He didn't say everyone has to go home.
No, but this is the point. The point is that he has the enforcement provisions. And I'll tell you, as the head of the American Conservative Union, what conservatives are most worried about.
I want to know what his position is on 11 million undocumented workers. Do
Very
they
clearly
have to go home or not?
Yes.
Because, okay,
yes, that's
because
his
this morning he didn't say.
No, I don't think that's right. I think that what he's saying is that 11 million people, we all know, is a tremendous amount of people. We haven't done this before. And it's going to face congressional action as well. There's going to have to be the president working with the Congress to figure out how you fund it, how you take this on. It starts with the deportation of the criminal element, which he's been very clear about. We have out-migration to Mexico because the Obama economy is so weak. And then when we come to these other populations, it's all going to be a question worked out with Congress.
Listen, I hear your talking points there.
No,
but he said words to one effect on Wednesday, and he said words to a different effect today. Liz, did you hear a difference?
Well, personally, I don't hear a lot of difference. When I look at Donald Trump, I hear somebody who's consistently calling for two things. One, a deportation force that's going to throw 12 million people out of the country and round up families and do it in probably a very inhumane way because he has spoken favorably about Operation Wetback in the past, and that's been consistent throughout the entirety of this campaign. In addition to that, he's talking about the wall. The wall we probably don't have as much of an issue with, although there are questions about how he thinks he's going to pay for this. But this is somebody who has consistently campaigned on being pro-deportation force. And this is somebody who now is in the difficult position of coming to grips with what Matt knows very well, because American Conservative Union was supportive of the Gang of Eight, the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill. The reality is that the American public and the electorate does not actually support what Donald Trump has been campaigning on. You have his campaign manager, who is actually a poll Forward.us, which was pro-comprehensive immigration reform. Kellyanne Conway has done polling pro-comprehensive immigration reform. And so you now have a situation where Donald Trump and his advisors are coming to grips with the reality, which is that the American electorate doesn't want what he's been selling for over a year now. And so he's trying to shift the goalposts and trying to talk about it differently. But he can't do it consistently.
Well, Matt, do you want to give you a chance to respond?
He can't do it consistently because he's not actually for comprehensive immigration reform. He is for a deportation.
Okay, we got your point. Matt, quick response, and Michelle, I want to hear your
point. Two quick things. Let me just correct the record. It was the previous chairman of the ACU who supported the Gang of Eight bill. And the second question is, the president and I served for President George W. Bush 43 when he ran for re-election in 2004. Even he, someone who wanted to do everything he could to embrace the idea of immigrants into our economy, even he said, if you're here illegally, you have to go home, you have to fill out your paperwork, and you have to come back legally. You have to demonstrate that you have
Well,
English proficiency.
the question is, though, what is his actual position now? Michelle, I wonder,
but there's nothing wrong with having that position.
Let's give Michelle a chance, because I wonder, there's a lot of talk, and Liz makes this point, he's trying to play both sides of the issue because he wants to get some of those undecided middle-of-the-road voters. Could this be a successful strategy?
Absolutely not. There is no other Donald Trump other than how do we separate families? How do we break up what we have always known as the American experiment? When we have immigrants in this country, I am the granddaughter of immigrants who have brought greatness to this country. If you look at great innovation over the past 20, 50 years, there's an immigrant story deeply enmeshed in each of them. And so for someone like Donald Trump to talk about forcible deportations, breaking up families, there is no new Donald Trump. This is the same Donald Trump that we've heard every single day.
All right, Liz, Matt, and